Hi and welcome back to the show. I hope that you have already subscribed to this channel. And I'm really looking forward to your comments and what you really like or dislike about these leadership series. We today go to Houston, Texas to meet Ashok Kumar, who is an entrepreneur who owns 5,000 apartments through investors and rents them out to mostly first-time renters in the US. Let's see how he is going through this whole crisis, but more importantly, his lessons that he learns through this whole thing. Ash, thank you for being here on the channel. I hope that everything is fine on your side.
Yes, thank you, Roshan, for interviewing me today. Things are very good in terms of personally, but the world is different today than it was 3 months ago.
Indeed. And you are in the property sector, which is obviously quite hit, and maybe the first hit with all this pandemic. How are you living this whole situation? What's going on?
Well, right now, we're in the apartment business mostly, which means we rent apartments to what we call working class people, which is people that have middle lower income. So they have been affected because a lot of people have been let go from their jobs.
And that it must be really putting a stress on your finances or on yourself. Well, how are you doing to cope from a business perspective with all these changes that's happening already?
So you have to, at least I have to work on this and think about it daily and make adjustments to both my staffing and managers and what they have to do on the property to deal with each of the tenants separately. So we're dealing with tenants one-on-one, meeting them, having a lot of empathy for each tenant, almost being a therapist.
But last I understood, you have 5,000 apartments. How do you manage to do that one-to-one? How do you manage to keep that communication going on?
Well, we have taught each manager and each leasing agent on the site to talk to our tenant profile. Like if you have 20 problem tenants, you have to bring them into the office one at a time and talk to them, get to know them, hear their story, listen to them. Because until you do that, until you build rapport, you can't get them to listen to you about how to proceed with their lives. That's the main thing you have to work on first.
Wow. So really changing your business towards communication, towards empathy and things like that. What else would be your priorities right now? If I ask you, what are your top 3 priorities?
Talking to my, I will call teammates on a regular basis, asking them how they feel. They have a lot of stress in their personal lives also, communicating with them directly. This is not my normal role, but spending that 2 or 3 extra minutes with them and listening to them is very important for you to do that, because you give them support, they'll learn to give other people support.
Right. So you spoke about communicating with your tenants. You've spoken about keeping your colleagues in close contacts. What will be your 3rd priority?
Probably one of the biggest communication is with our stakeholders, our investors. We're communicating with them probably every 2 weeks, which is like maybe 10 times more than normal. So they need to get less nervous. And I think I'm trying to, same with this people I'm talking to on the properties, I want to create a calmness for them, that we can get through this together.
Right. And so the common thread between the 3 is about understanding the empathy, the calmness, as you rightly said. How do you keep calm in such times?
Right. I have a lot of support also in terms of a business coach, in terms of people I associate with in the business. I talk to several people every day. In addition to that, I also have, I do a lot of exercise. I do yoga, I walk a lot. I also meditate on a regular basis, and it helps me keep calm. I spend a lot of time with family, but at the same time, I think I spend a lot of more time communicating with all these 3 sets of people you talked about. Not saying that I know everything, but actually saying I'm vulnerable to the fact that I don't know everything. Keeping my ego low, I don't know everything, and giving them the feeling that they should be communicating with me, and I can give them any information that I want, but I don't know everything these times, and things will keep changing.
And this display of humility, of saying that you are vulnerable, that you don't necessarily know everything, is maybe more important right now because things are changing very, very fast. And I suppose you must be making very quick decisions. some of them could be wrong. How do you get to know that you've made something wrong?
Well, I mean, other people in the business definitely tell me that. So I have a theory. I want to be told what I need to know, not what I want to hear. I say to people, tell me what I'm doing wrong, not what I'm doing right. This is very important in all businesses, but especially in times when you're making a lot of decisions.
Interesting that you say that you're listening to people and you want to hear what you're doing wrong. But for that to happen, you need to take a step back. And for a person who is an entrepreneur who started a business, it's quite difficult to take a step back. What changes have you made to yourself in terms of your thinking for you to be able to afford that step back?
Well, first of all, it's very difficult to figure out that you don't know everything. Early on in your career, in my career at least, I thought I knew everything. But as I got older, I figured out I didn't know everything. So you want to get the people around you to help you. So be the last one around the table. Ask questions, don't tell answers. And make sure you don't put their opinion down. You cannot laugh at somebody's opinion no matter how crazy it is. It's actually, I would say, the craziest opinions I found that actually work out in the end of the day. My wife also gives me very good advice. She gives me and some other family members. I ask them for advice, but she in particular, because of her ability to understand people's behaviors, whether it's in the business or otherwise, I ask her questions. And when I have a very big problem, she gives me thoughts and what she thinks I should do differently from what I'm doing. And usually she's the one that's telling me what I'm doing wrong. And I have to listen to her and adjust accordingly. And I think about what all the things I should do differently. And it helps me tremendously. And I think listening to other people and evaluating and intently listening and taking things in is very important.
And it's obviously helped pay off in terms of you being able to take a step back here. Let's take a step well back and back in time. If you had the possibility of hindsight and you were back in January, or let's say in October, what changes you would have wanted to make then to better prepare yourself for now?
Probably understanding what was going to happen with labor and start looking at things differently for labor costs, but also how do we help our tenants to look into the future? We have probably spent more money than we should have 6 months ago on certain things that we probably would have held off on. And then also refinancing of certain properties, we didn't do it, but now refinancing of properties has become much more difficult, and we didn't realize that was going to happen. We waited too long, and we may have to wait 12 to 18 months more till the market changes.
So that's interesting. And based on your knowledge today, what would you want to change in your business model going forward?
Probably work a lot more with the tenants in terms of more empathy, more touchy-feely, and doing certain things on the property more than required. So give them better value. Mostly in times of problems like this, people don't spend money in the property. So that's a major thing. That's the opposite of what most people do when the market is going down.
So last question. As a leader, as someone who loves to learn a lot, as someone who I know you follow lots of courses, what kind of advice you would like to give to leaders today, young ones, entrepreneurs?
So the first thing I believe in is that the best student of any business is the most successful. So learn whatever business you're in, every little thing you can. Get advice from everyone you can. Get a mentor or get 2 mentors. Constantly talk to the mentors. I've used mentors all my life. I still use mentors. Spend time thinking. Most young people are too busy working. Shut the door, write your thoughts down, improve yourself, because you are the tool that will improve the business. The business will not improve you. You have to improve the business. You have to be the tool. And I use myself as a tool of the business to improve myself.
Great, Ash, that's been really, really insightful. And thank you for being very candid and very open in terms of your own weaknesses and where you think things have to go. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I found this really insightful to listen to what usually entrepreneurs don't talk about in terms of their ego, in terms of their fears or their failures. Stay tuned for the next interview that will be in shortly. Until then, take care.